This isn't just gossip. This is the truth coming from the highest levels. Joe Rogan. What if one man's words could bring down the towering walls of silence surrounding some of the entertainment industry's most powerful figures? Joe Rogan, the host of the world's most downloaded podcast, has never been shy about stirring the pot with controversial opinions, but his testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs federal trial is unlike anything we've seen before. What started as casual conversations on his podcast has now exploded into a courtroom revelation that could shift the course of the trial and forever change the public's perception of one of the most influential figures in entertainment. In an unprecedented turn of events, Joe Rogan walked into a courtroom where he wasn't just a celebrity witness, he was a whistleblower stepping forward with bombshell revelations that had been hidden behind closed doors for years. His testimony didn't just shake the courtroom, it rattled the entire entertainment industry. What Rogan revealed wasn't just rumors or clickbait, but rather a long accumulated trail of shocking truths, disturbing behaviors, and high-profile complicity. This wasn't a trial about celebrity antics. This was a trial about systemic abuse, manipulation, and silence. On the seventh day of the Diddy trial, the atmosphere in the courtroom was already tense. The press gallery was packed, rumors about the case swirling like wildfire. But nothing could have prepared anyone for the moment when the doors to the courtroom opened and Joe Rogan walked in. No entourage, no legal team, just Rogan with a small black notebook in his hand. His face calm, but his presence unmistakable. His sudden appearance sent a shockwave through the courtroom. Rogan wasn't there for a publicity stunt or to add his usual comedic spin. He was there to testify under oath, and what he had to say was far more serious than anyone had anticipated. With his signature no-nonsense style, Rogan began to speak. And as he did, it became clear this trial was no longer just about a celebrity scandal. This was about revealing the hidden truths of an entire system, one that had thrived on secrecy and silence for far too long. As Rogan took the stand, the courtroom was riveted. He wasn't there to deliver celebrity gossip or fuel tabloid stories. Instead, he came armed with years of first-hand accounts from industry insiders, including ex-bodyguards, former label executives, and others who had been in the room when the disturbing events took place. He explained that many of his guests had been too scared to speak out on the record, so they had turned to him, not as a journalist, but as someone who would ensure their truth didn't get buried. "I've been given first-hand accounts," Rogan said, "and I've kept them secure. What I'm sharing with you today isn't just hearsay. These are stories backed up by evidence, and they connect directly to the events in this courtroom." The courtroom was tense. As Rogan dropped the first bombshell, one of his former podcast guests had told him about Diddy's private collection of damning evidence, videos, recordings, and files kept on a private server at Diddy's Miami compound. The guest claimed that prominent figures in the industry, including Jay-Z and LeBron James, were aware of what was happening, though not necessarily involved. The revelation caused an immediate stir. Diddy's defense team objected, but the judge overruled them, allowing Rogan to continue his testimony. What Rogan described next was even more chilling. "These weren't just parties," he said. "These were rituals. Phones were confiscated, guests were blindfolded. The industry had a code for these events, freak-offs, and everyone acted like it was normal." The prosecution then asked Rogan if he had any recordings to back up his claims. With a firm nod, Rogan confirmed that he had indeed submitted excerpts to the DA's office, including audio recordings from unnamed insiders discussing these events. As the judge allowed those recordings to be logged into evidence, Rogan's words hit like a sledgehammer. "I've had Navy SEALs, conspiracy theorists, professors, and even CIA whistleblowers on my podcast," Rogan said, "but nothing compares to the disturbing accounts I've heard from those high up in the entertainment world. And those accounts, they're real." Rogan's testimony didn't stop there. He continued to recount how he had pieced together a disturbing pattern, one that began as early as 2018. A guest on his show, a former tour manager for a popular R&B act, had come forward during a break to share his own horrifying experiences. He described Diddy's parties as more than just indulgent gatherings. They were dangerous. Cameras hidden in smoke detectors, people slipping things into drinks, and A-list celebrities pretending not to notice. The tour manager's story wasn't the only one. Other guests shared similar accounts. One stylist even spoke of seeing a two-way mirror at one of Diddy's events and being asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, in a room with hidden cameras. Rogan went on to explain that these were not isolated incidents. "I've kept a private archive of these stories protected by legal advisors," Rogan said. "I didn't want to be sued into oblivion, but I also didn't want this stuff buried." When I started connecting the dots between these stories and the lawsuits we've seen, the pattern became undeniable. One of the most shocking moments came when Rogan revealed that a well-known music video director had approached him in 2022, crying. The director claimed he had footage from one of Diddy's parties, but had been blackmailed into filming these events for over a decade. "I've heard a lot in my career," Rogan said, "but this is different. This is the kind of thing that changes everything." As Rogan continued, he described a disturbing account from a former bodyguard who had worked at Diddy's Miami estate. The bodyguard had told Rogan about a reinforced basement-like vault hidden beneath the compound, a place accessible only by biometric scan. Inside the vault, the bodyguard claimed were dozens of encrypted hard drives. He called it Diddy's black box. It was a storage space for footage of freak-off parties, blackmail material, and contracts, including videos of not just random people, but celebrities, executives, and even politicians. The courtroom gasped as Rogan described the details further. Diddy's defense team was visibly rattled, and some jurors even reached for their water glasses in disbelief. Rogan continued, "This wasn't just about protecting a reputation. This was about control over an entire industry, and Diddy was the puppet master." Rogan also described how some of his guests who had worked with Diddy's artists had independently corroborated the existence of these secret rooms with hidden cameras. One even described being asked to sign an NDA in that very room after noticing a peephole disguised in a mirror. In the final part of his testimony, Rogan dropped the most chilling detail yet. He revealed that just 3 months ago, a whistleblower had reached out to his team anonymously. This person claimed to work for a third-party data recovery company in Miami and said they had been hired to extract encrypted footage from a corrupted server. Among the footage the whistleblower claimed was compromising material involving high-profile guests at Diddy's parties. Rogan concluded, "If the feds don't have that footage, the public will. Someone somewhere has it. And when it comes out, this courtroom will look like a warm-up act." At this point, Rogan had completely shifted the tone of the trial. What began as a celebrity scandal had evolved into a deeper, more disturbing narrative about systemic intimidation, abuse, and power. Rogan ended his testimony with a powerful statement: "If even one of those tapes gets played in court, half this industry is finished. But right now it's still buried. It's all about silence, and if we keep pretending this doesn't exist, we're all complicit." Joe Rogan's testimony had left the courtroom in stunned silence. His words had pierced through the carefully constructed facade of celebrity culture, exposing the darker undercurrents that ran beneath it. As he stood to leave the stand, Rogan looked around the courtroom, his voice filled with quiet but undeniable conviction. "This isn't about canceling Diddy. This is about accountability. This is about shining a light on the system that thrives in the shadows." The judge allowed Rogan to make a closing statement, and the courtroom was dead silent as Rogan spoke. "Over the years, I've interviewed astronauts, scientists, philosophers, and even ex-spooks. I know when people are lying, and I know when they're holding back because they're scared. And let me tell you, everything I've heard about Diddy didn't come from trolls. It came from people who were shaking while they spoke." As Rogan finished his statement, the courtroom remained silent. Diddy, once a towering figure in the room, now appeared to be crumbling from the inside out.